basically we're all going to get a lot poorer. Well, I'm not, but a lot of people are going to get quite a lot poorer. And that is a sad thing. The other thing that gets me is I don't really know where the bottom is either. Not in this case. Normally I would. I go, well, where's the bottom here? Is it 25? Is it 50%? Is it 75%? Is it 89%? Is it a dot-com crash? Is it a good old credit crunch, global financial crisis crash? Is it just a normal crash? And is it a little bit worse? Because when you get crashes, it goes 25% down. That is a crash. So I'm completely convinced, the White House is serious about what it's going to do. That is really, really bad for the global economy, and that will cause recession, depression even. Here we are. We're actually here. At the best.
Many people will become poorer due to an economic downturn, though he expects to avoid it. What's most concerning is the uncertainty. He doesn't know how bad it will get, whether it's a typical crash or something as severe as the 2008 crisis or worse. A 25% drop already counts as a crash and could go much deeper. He's convinced the White House is serious about its current actions, which could severely damage the global economy, leading to recession or even depression, and that this could begin within just 8 weeks. Clem Chambers, a well-known financial expert and entrepreneur, highlights that gold is often seen as the ultimate asset in times of global tension. Still, it has practical problems for everyday people, mainly storage and custody. Unlike crypto, where you can secure it with your keys, gold needs to be stored somewhere physical. A sock, not safe. A home safe, still risky. Or a bank vault, which introduces trust and access issues. While these aren't perfect solutions, the rising geopolitical tensions, like ongoing conflicts in Ukraine, China, and India, have made gold increasingly relevant. Nations aren't easing tensions. Instead, they're preparing for long-term strategic conflict. As a result, countries like Poland, China, and the US are buying massive amounts of gold. Clem Chambers reveals the reason gold is becoming more valuable isn't just its industrial use, it's that governments treat it as a strategic reserve for conflict. They store it in heavily protected vaults not to remonetize but to hedge against war and crisis. As global instability grows, so does gold's importance. With about 3,000 tons mined annually, just 1% of the total supply, major nations quickly absorb new supplies. Unlike previous years, where banks may have manipulated gold prices, governments are now the buyers, and their demand can't be suppressed. This ongoing accumulation will likely drive gold's price up in real terms, not just nominal ones, making it an increasingly vital and valuable asset in a tense world. Let's jump into the video for more details. If you like what you see, please thumbs up and subscribe to our channel to stay updated with our latest content.
Gold has its problems for normal people, and it comes down to custody. They say in crypto, not your keys, not your Bitcoin, but gold is kind of like that. And where are you going to put it? In a sock? Okay, that's not good. In a safe? Well, that's not really secure either. Oh, down the bank in a vault? Yeah, you're getting a little bit more comfortable there. But, then somebody busts the safe deposit boxes open because there's a drug dealer stashing stuff there, and you got to explain where you got the gold from, and so that's not perfect either. Oh, so you put it in a vault with a company. What about the company? And then tell me about how good they are. So gold has problems, okay? And the main one is storage. So, but, gold, you're saying about Ukraine and Russia. Do you think Europe's going to be comfortable? Oh, that's fine. Now they're on the, everybody's going, Pakistan, India. There's nobody out there that's not in this ever-increasing spiral of tension. And where does it end? You can go all doomster about it and say, oblivion and nuclear war and all that. Oh, no. But it doesn't have to. But what turns it around and makes everybody sing Kumbaya around the fire with their marshmallows? Nothing in sight. Nothing in sight. So it's only going to get worse, more tense. There's only going to get more Cold Wars. The Cold War with China has already begun. So, a Cold War is already, if you listen to the White House, they are planning for war. This is all about planning for war with China. It doesn't make any sense outside of preparing to be able to have a conflict with China. Well, being able to and preparing for a conflict with China is most of the way to having one, isn't it? For example, And how long does that process take for you to be able to build ships? It's years. It's years and years. How long does it take to onshore all your chips so you can build drones so you can fight a war? It takes years. So that spiral is going to go for a long, long time. And the thing to think about is, I mean, it doesn't have to end in, terrible things. It could, but it's not, that process is not going to stop. And when you look down the other end of the telescope and you go, what is the value of gold? Electronics, it's got a use case, but the big use case is governments have it as a strategic asset. What makes gold valuable is its use case. And that use case is as this hedge against conflict. Yeah. So the use case means it will get more valuable in real terms. So it's not only going to go up in price, it's going to go up in real terms because its use case is expanded. In the old days, I mean, a few years ago, people say, oh, gold should be much higher and it's being manipulated by banks and la, 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 which may or may not be true. I think there's some truth to that. But they can't manipulate the price of gold when the governments are buying it. Yeah. So they go, oh, these games we're playing with the private investors, we have to stop that. Get out the way. When those guys buy, you buy and give it to them. That we can't. These are the £800 gorillas. We can't corner the market when the government's buying. And that is they're not going to stop, are they? Why would they stop? What is going to make them say, we've got enough gold now? Yeah, 3-year war, 3-year world war, we've got enough. No, just keep buying. And that's going to keep pushing the price. So unless, a major company buying gold said, no, it's fine now. We're not going to, go over that border. We're not going to struggle over this technology. We're going to stop spying on them. We're going to be nice. And we're going to play nice. Unless one of those big countries suddenly goes into that mode, everybody's going to be buying gold forever. And there's quite a lot made every year. I mean, people have to realize there's 3,000 tons of gold every year made, which is 1% of total gold supply is manufactured out of the ground every year. So there's always been that drag. Well, now it's got a customer that can to drain that and take everything that comes out of the ground. And that's China and America and India and Russia and Europe and America and who isn't going to be buying it for strategic reserve. So it's just going to drive it. It's like, what's the alternative? Oh, they don't need gold for as a currency for war. No, that's not its purpose. No, that's a wrong model. Well, it's clear, isn't it, that is the model. Why else would a government have a building full of gold? It's not going to make gold coins and turn that back into money, is it? With silver and copper. I mean, they're just about to cancel the US 1 cent piece. Who needs physical money? It's so good as digital thing for all parties involved. They're not going to remonetize. So if you say, well, they're not going to remonetize, why are they keeping it then? And that's why, the strategic need for a hedge, when that occurs, when you are having you're in that conflict and you're losing and you want to buy some ships or whatever it is, you're paying in gold.
Clem Chambers recalls that the U.S. has historically maintained global dominance by making other regions, especially Europe, dependent on it through trade and financial strategies. However, as the U.S. shifts its focus to conflicts in Asia, Europe is encouraged to become more self-sufficient, potentially leading to a stronger, more unified Europe. With 500 million people, a strong economic foundation, and rising independence, Europe could emerge as a formidable global power, mainly if it builds a cohesive strategy, including its military. The American strategy of keeping Europe reliant is reversed, which could benefit Europe's future. In financial markets, substantial wealth evaporates when a market falls, such as the stock market, like a $25 trillion loss in a 50% market drop. The U.S. has kept its economic engine running by printing money and directing it into real estate and equities, where it increases wealth without being immediately spent. This liquidity trickles down to impact various sectors, but when markets crash, this money effectively disappears, representing a significant economic loss. The question is whether Europe, free from its dependence on the U.S., can capitalize on this shift and grow its financial and geopolitical strength. Now, let's recall the interview.
And America, obviously, as we are the big, Europe is a threat for that global dominance. And in a very nice, gentle way, they always put down Europe. But, don't let that color your vision. America has, GDP of X, 300 odd million people. It's 500 million in Europe, and they've got as much money. And boy, they can read, most of them. I mean, if you look at the problems of America, and the White House will tell you about them, health care, and there it is. And then you look at Europe, they don't kind of seem to have those problems. Yeah, they've got their own. They're just humans after all. But Europe is, so if you want to keep them poor, give them money. If you want to keep them weak, give them money. If you want to rule them, make them dependent. And that has been America's strategy since the Second World War. These people, they can't stop fighting, just make them dependent on us, and we get marvelous trade, and they won't kill each other, and everything will be great. Yeah, well, they're changing that policy now. And that means that Europe will lose its dependency, which will be great for Europe, absolutely great for Europe. 500 million people, well educated, with a pretty decent system. All of a sudden, being kicked out of the nest by a mummy bird to have to go out and deal with the world on its own without being dependent. Is that going to be bad for Europe? No, it's going to be great, isn't it? Europe with a European army? That's very scary, really. But, nonetheless, it's not going to make Europe weaker, is it? It's going to make it stronger. It's not going to be invaded by the Russians, all 150 million of them, when there's 500 million on their side, and Russians have got $7,000 GDP per head, and Europe's got 30,000. It's something like 20 to 1 in economic and power, but that independence, that cutting the cord, now you've got United States of Europe, haven't you? That's not going to be a powerless thing. That's going to be like United States of Europe with 500 million people and economic parity. So, all this, the American exceptionalism thing, if you can stand back enough from that, it's a pretty ridiculous point of view, and it's going away. The Europeans used to self-destruct because of their political system back in 1914 and 1939, and that was their issue. That's gone now. United States of Europe, and that will be a great thing with a bit of luck. It'll be a great thing. So believing the PR that Europe's a load of old rubbish is not true. I live all over Europe, and it's a very well sorted place. And anybody that's been here and walked around. And there was some chess master that was in Spain when the lights went out. And his first thought, he said, was that they were going to start looting the shops. And then he went out and everybody was in the streets having a coffee, hanging out and being chill. So Americans would naturally imagine that somehow Europe is going to be looting the Gucci store. So, Europe, and there's a lot of money flying out of America right now into Europe because with the potential downside conniptions that come in, it's a safer place for the money. So, that is a big, potentially a very big upside of all this is Europe no longer being kept dependent on the US. And why should it be? I think if you think about why that would be a thing, it would be America saying, we've got this conflict in Asia. And they've said it, actually. They've said it. Oh, we've got issues in Asia that we need to focus on, which means you sort out Russia, we'll sort out Asia. And that's a smart strategy because that's easily done, right? Well, not easily, but it's doable for sure. But another thing that you said about rotation out of stocks into other assets, when markets go down, that money disappears. That money that's tied up in the NASDAQ and in the S&P 500, etc. When that goes down, that money goes. It goes to money heaven. It doesn't run away somewhere else. It's gone. It goes. So you have a market that falls 50%. That's $25 trillion gone. And that's a big deal. You see, what people don't understand is the American financial and economic strategy has been to print more money, but push it into places where it doesn't get spent easily.
The global economy faces significant uncertainty, with the potential for widespread economic downturns and geopolitical instability. As tensions rise between major powers like the US, China, and Russia, the demand for gold as a strategic asset continues to grow. Meanwhile, Europe's shift toward greater independence may position it as a more potent global force. Whether these changes will lead to long-term stability or further economic challenges remains to be seen, but they underscore the complexity of the current geopolitical and financial landscape. How can individuals protect their wealth during economic uncertainty without relying on traditional assets like gold? What role will Europe play in the global economy if it successfully reduces its dependency on the US? Let us know in the comments below. For more content like this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, and explore our other videos.